Greetings and welcome to Calm, Clear Conversations. I'm Christopher Johnson with Calm, Clear Communications, and with me today, the Elisabeth Steele. I
It
know.
is it is great to be here. I'm Elisabeth Steele. I use she and her pronouns. I am a light-skinned Black woman in my late 40s, and I have salt and pepper hair, very short. And today I'm wearing a magenta blazer. It's good to be here.
I am going to follow your lead. I'm Christopher Johnson. I use he and him pronouns. I am an African American male in my late 50s without any hair at all. Well, except a beard. And I am wearing a light blue polo shirt.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
It makes a difference. The we take certain things for granted until we don't. And awareness brings up, it's like, oh, yeah, how would I describe this? How would I make this more beneficial, more useful for someone else?
I was introduced just recently to the concept of using audio descriptions at the top
Mhm.
of video calls by one of my colleagues here at the University of Hawaii. And just as we did right now, he began a talk with this, and I thought, what's he doing? Like, what's he doing? Why is he doing that? And that led me to his research, which I'm happy to send you for the show notes, Brett Apagard, and it really made me think about kind of the many ways in which we make assumptions about each other, especially on video, and also why including some information is important, right, for all kinds of different reasons. And I've started doing this for a couple of reasons. One, for folks who have low vision, or who are blind, or who are maybe not in the room or just listening to the audio, to kind of give them, maybe orient them to the voices that they're hearing. I also have been doing a lot of thinking. I'm a biracial person, so my mother is a white American, and my father is Black, and I tend to identify as Black, but I am, I guess, racially ambiguous, right? We have very light skin, and folks tend to struggle to place me. And so when I was thinking about an audio description, what would people think when they saw me? I introduced myself as a light skinned Black woman. And I've really been sitting with that, to tell you the truth, Christopher Johnson, because I'm not sure it feels entirely accurate to me. Though I think in terms of like a kind of a racial shorthand, it might make sense for many viewers. Oh my gosh, what are your thoughts about this? I'm sorry, we're going in this whole new direction, but this is what's on my mind this morning. That's on my mind.
And and that is completely fine. And I encourage those that are watching live to share your comments, share your thoughts so that hey, we can all learn from one another. People tend to think one way with the word inclusivity, but it's really not a one way sort of thing. Inclusion means inclusion, making things easier, making things accessible to a wider group of people.
Hmm.
Uh,
It
and sitting
absolutely
with,
does.
well, yeah, and sitting with the how to describe myself. See, here's one of the wonderful things of being a Black American or African American. We are all different shades and racially ambiguous. Yes, I've had people question, well, are what and yes, both of my parents are Black. That does not mean anything other than both of my parents are Black. We come in all shades, and that's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is a beautiful thing. And I think there are all these discussions now about authenticity and showing up as your whole self. And then it gets a little tricky when there are things about us that we think are really important to share in certain contexts, right? That other people may think is superfluous or not important. And actually, today, I absolutely recommend following Merle Evans. She is a deaf content creator and accessibility expert, and she posted this morning, which is why this is on my mind, about whether or not she, as a white deaf woman, should include race in her audio description. And she posed the question to those of us who are connected to her on LinkedIn. And without hesitating, I said that for me, my race is always relevant. In whatever room I'm in, I feel like that is a piece of me that is important for me to share in the same way that I share pronouns, right? And while it is not something necessarily that just sighted people who are joining me in a video call have access to, that people with low vision don't, it's also a kind of I feel like a stamp, a way of showing up in a space, right? And it implicates a lot of things. I've just been, and isn't it wonderful, Christopher Johnson, when we get to like meet people who make us think about things differently?
It
Just like
is.
blows my mind.
It is. And how do you spell her name so that I may share her information? And
It's Meryl, and her last name is Evans, Evans.
okay.
And I just think I've learned a ton from her. I'm actually attending, she's giving a speech tomorrow about how to kind of go beyond just appearances in terms of inclusivity. And it really, and I definitely registered because it's something I'm like, am I doing that? Am I doing that? And wanting to make sure that I'm making choices that are kind of aligned with what my ethics are and modeling behavior that I want to see others doing, but not doing it in a way that feels forced or I don't know, try hard. Does that? I don't just is any of this landing with you, Christopher Johnson?
Absolutely. It is. All right. See, the thing about being our authentic selves is it is individual to each one of us. We are, I mean, there are some commonalities, absolutely. But there's such as a large part that is just individual to us. Sometimes people have been surprised with my being a fan of Johnny Cash. It's like, oh,
Oh,
Johnny
did
Cash
you
is
know he was
great.
married? Okay, so let me uh, I'm having a moment because I'm just now discovering that we are sharing a mutual admiration for the man in black. I'm going to ask you, did you know that he was married to a black woman, his first wife, with whom he had
That
like
I
six
did not
kids?
know.
I think they had like 4 or 6 kids. We'll Google it. We'll Google it. I
I'll have to
know.
yeah,
And one of my favorite movies is Walk the Line,
very
right?
good.
I love Reese Witherspoon. I love Joaquin Phoenix. And I've been uncomfortable with that movie since I learned, right? Wait, what happened to the black woman? Where is the black first wife? Where is the black woman? Right? She was written out of that story, right?
Hmm,
Isn't that, I mean, it's fascinating. It's
it
fascinating.
is.
Sorry to just jump in there, but like, did you know? I did not know. This is a new
I did
thing for
not know,
me.
and that's new information for me. And all right, one of my unique defining features, there is a music subroutine that is always running, whether I'm out about with friends or whatever, listening to a TV show and you hear the music in the background. There's that, wait a second, I know that song. Do I have that song? Is that who I think it is? Yeah, so that subroutine is running, and it's really interesting when I've been in like attending a wedding.
Hmm.
The bride looked over at me because she saw every time I was getting this quizzical expression and she laughed, and it brought her a certain amount of joy. It's like, wait a second, he doesn't know that one.
I love it. I have never heard the term subroutine before.
Well, I have an IT background, so
Mhm.
yeah. Uh, Programming computer languages, I am. I know I've kept this hidden from a number of people. I'm actually a geek. I know. I know people are shocked.
I'm right there with you, my friend. Maybe one of the just another of the 100 reasons I find spending time with you so delightful. Yeah, I'm
Same.
also a geek, maybe not a programming geek, but a geek
Well,
for sure.
we all geek out over a variety of things, and that is part of being our authentic selves. So, no one, when I'm being in an office and listening to music, people are never sure what exactly I'm listening to. Might be country, could be something else. Part of the music. All right, I'm located in Motown. You are located
In
in,
Honolulu, Hawaii.
that's a little bit ways. Okay,
A little
just
far from Motown, but
uh,
only in
uh,
spirit, only in
it's a
physical
smidge.
space. Only in
It's a
physical
smidge.
space.
Okay,
Motown is always in your hearts. Right? That is
as it should be. I was sharing with a friend yesterday. Uh, there's a Stevie Wonder album. I know. Which one is your favorite?
oh my gosh, I can't even all
I
of
know.
them?
Is
All of
That's a
them?
horrible. Yes, exactly. There's no wrong answer. Songs in the Key of Life. One is just a wonderful album. On February 20th, that's the anniversary of him winning Grammys for that album.
Okay,
Why do I know that? Because
that is
his
an
music is Stevie and it's just stuck up there.
I am impressed. I mean, like, deeply impressed. Like, would have had no I didn't even know that there were anniversaries of albums. So, I mean, and then albums winning Grammys, that's, like, next level. That is absolutely I bow down. I bow down. I
Well,
am super
hey,
impressed.
I am a big Stevie fan, and the period of the early 70s is, to me, one of the most remarkable stretches in music.
Have you
As soon as,
seen
well, as soon as Stevie turned 21, that's the point where he got a hold of his royalties from Motown that he had been making since being a kid there.
Mhm.
10 years of royalties, 10 years of hits. He gets all this at 21. What does he do? He releases 5 fabulous albums that are groundbreaking. Songs in the Key of Life, Inner Visions, Talking Book World, The Secret Life of Plants. It He doesn't rest on what he already did. He builds and breaks new ground.
May I ask you if you've seen, and now I can't remember if the documentary is called The Summer of Soul or Soul Summer.
It is Summer of Soul,
Summer of
Questlove.
Soul.
Yes, I have. And Stevie playing drums
I,
is,
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
who knew? Yeah. Well, Stevie, before Prince played all his instruments, Stevie was doing that same thing.
You said the name because see now where I am a huge Prince fan, like
Well,
enormous Prince fan. I will say that I actually made the pilgrimage, right, and left my message on the gate. I mean, like a huge Prince fan. I wept. In fact, I don't know how you felt, but this was the first time for me that I ever like I was driving to work and I heard that he had passed and I literally wept, like full on wept in my car. And I wasn't even aware that I had this sense of I mean, there's some people who just kind of touch you through time and space. Never met the man, right?
yeah.
Went to one concert. Thank goodness I got that opportunity before, he was gone. But isn't it amazing? Like I don't know, have you ever met Stevie Wonder?
I've never met Stevie. I've not met Prince either. But Detroit and Prince have a special relationship.
Tell me.
Well, when he would tour here, uh, he would routinely sell out. And this was before, I mean, this was his very first couple of albums, one of the local DJs, the Electrifying Mojo, would play Prince's complete album. And when Prince was in town, they would talk on air for a while. It was it was just magical. I mean, they were connecting as artists and an appreciator, someone who recognized how transformative this individual was. And I mean, every tour that has been through Detroit did exceptionally well here. He would add dates because it's like, oh, the first 5 dates sold out in 20 minutes. Fine, I will add a couple more. Uh, it was, yeah. I've only seen him in concert once. Is yeah, tremendous.
I remember I was in Connecticut. I went with a very good friend of mine who was like, "We should do this," and I was like, "That's right, we should. This is a once in a lifetime." And I remember him bringing up women of all sizes and shapes and colors on stage with him. And I just felt in those moments like he was reaching out and picking me up too. You know what I mean? Like, there was something about him. And I just want to say, I mean, there's some problematic aspects of his life, of our life. I mean, gosh, we need to talk about with Bill Cosby. I mean, like, what, you know what I mean? That
Yeah,
documentary. I mean, there's a ton that gets kind of wrapped up in that. And isn't it amazing? I just want to sit with how wonderful it is that folks can touch us. I mean, really move us and connect with us in ways.
absolutely.
I mean, and he had no idea who I was, right? He had no idea I'm crying outside, from putting up my plastic flower, my note, outside the kind of the shrine in the Twin Cities, watching
But
my.
yeah, all right. Touching on what you were just saying, being human is messy. There are problems with a variety of folk at a variety of points in life, and for a variety of reasons. The art that he produced, the people are. We just had a Super Bowl, and the
Mhm.
Detroit Rams won. Oh, not the Detroit Rams. Matthew Stafford, formerly of the Detroit Lions, led the Rams to a Super Bowl victory. People, of course, talked about the halftime show.
Mhm.
And what was interesting to me is where it ranked. People were still saying, it was pretty good. It was no Prince halftime concert.
I still think it's in the rain, purple rain in the rain. Let's I am so I so I have some. I just want to I feel like in bringing my authentic self. I did not watch the Super Bowl. I'm not a fan of football. I've been known to call it plantation gladiator ball.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, pulling no punches. But I'm a
Yeah,
huge fan of all of the performers, right? So for me, it was like, oh, do I do it? Do I do it? Do I watch the halftime show, even though I like have such a deep, deep disdain for the sport? And I didn't actually watch it, but I like to say I watched on TikTok because I'm on TikTok. I'm just amazed by the kind of blazing commentary that people have been putting up about the halftime show. And I feel like it's like they're bringing it to the next level. It's like literally the um the TikToks about the halftime show, right? Have me in stitches, right? I mean, just
absolutely.
loving on it, right? I haven't seen really anyone who's hasn't been. Maybe it's just my TikTok, right? I've carefully policed my my
Yeah.
TikTok, so I'm only looking at M&M fans. I don't care that he was he was the only one to take the knee. He was the only one who needed to take the knee, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I don't know if you watched this on TikTok, but there's a big thing about why if he should have taken the knee. Christopher Johnson.
Should he
Thoughts?
have?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he is also from Detroit. So Detroit was very well represented with Matthew Stafford, Eminem. Yeah, we should he have taken a knee? Since he was comfortable doing so, yes.
Agreed.
I mean, there's
Agreed.
no, if that is his level of comfort and commitment, absolutely.
Hmm. Did you feel so one TikTok that's gone kind of viral is a white woman or a white appearing woman criticizing the black performers for not taking the knee.
Okay.
And she's gotten, I think, a bit of an education from some folks on TikTok who were like, "I'm sorry, was it not that their music and their very existence was not already the point? Like, right? I mean, like their being there is a protest. You know what I mean? Like their whole, like I think it's so interesting how and I have tons of blind spots. Like I'm not I wanted to say I feel like this woman who's getting an education on TikTok about why it it was kind of why the expectations of white artists who make their livelihood on black using up black art forms. I mean, like there's a lot there. I'm an Eminem fan. I think he's the best. And I'm not going to apologize. Like, I mean, he is extraordinary. He's extraordinary. Slim Shady all the way. 8 Mile. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So
So when you visit Detroit, the Motown Museum and 8 Mile, got it. Okay.
all right, we're making this happen. We're making this happen. Oh wait, so I
Here's
don't know how. Oh,
and see, here's something else that you need to do when you visit Detroit. Not if, but when you visit Detroit, the bus that Rosa Parks sat on during the Montgomery bus boycott, or
mhm.
that led to the Montgomery bus boycott, that is located in Metro Detroit at Greenfield Village. Are you booking? Was that the sound of you booking a flight?
That was me. Like, how amazing would it be to meet in real life in Detroit? And I would have to say, if we were gonna like, if we're scaffolding this trip that we're gonna have, right? My family meeting your family, we're gonna go swimming.
Okay.
We're gonna go swimming because I don't know if you know this, but Christopher Johnson is quite the swimmer, and he posts these images of himself and the number of laps and the times, and I'm always like, oh, yeah, yeah, let's do that.
And
Let's do that too.
yeah. See, I'm relatively new to swimming, and that is one of the reasons that I post about it, because if I can learn how to swim, anyone can learn how to swim.
Okay, can we share this too? Do we have to worry about time? Because I just want
Of
to
course
share.
not.
So I want to share this. Okay, oh, awesome. Because there are like two, at least two things I want to share with you. One, I was late to the swimming game myself. So I actually had to take remedial swimming in college in order to graduate because at Carleton College in Minnesota, Prince, right? We we had to pass a swim test, and I failed it because I was uncomfortable in the water. I'd been there was a childhood accident, and I was kind of traumatized, and so I really avoided learning how to swim. So did it in college. I ended up taking two classes, and I mean like actual classes, college classes with the swim coach of the swim team who taught us, who videotaped us, who talked to us about our stroke, who like broke down the physics of swimming. And I was just like, this is amazing. And then life happened, and I kind of forgot how much peace you can find in a pool, right? And when I guess I was probably 40 when I started working with a swim coach and literally swimming. Like we swim, I think we swam twice a week and just working on strokes and technique. And I remember the day she was like, "Yeah, you got it. You can. We're done here. We're packing up her bag." And I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready." And I without her accountability, I kind of fell off, and I haven't been. I don't know the last time I swam laps, but there's just something. There was some president, maybe it was Gerald Ford, who said something like, who swam every day of his presidency and of his life. And he famously said something like, I find it more relaxing than like a stiff drink. Like if I need to like reset, right? You just hit the water and there's a feeling of just gliding through, pushing your body through that. I mean, it's religious,
There,
spiritual. It's something. It's something.
there is once. Once I was able to move past the sheer terror,
No.
then yeah, it is a relaxing place. It is a favorite place. I'm looking forward to warmer weather so I can go out and about and venture out onto the many, many Michigan waterways.
Mm. Will you be in a craft? Are we talking about paddling a canoe? Are we talking about what are we talking about?
Well, learning how to swim opens all sorts of avenues, but I was only really talking about probably maybe kayak and open water swimming.
Wow.
The swimming in a river or a lake is a wonderful thing.
I get nervous about what my feet touch.
That was
I'm a
exactly
pool
my
swimmer.
problem.
I'm a pool swimmer. I am a pool swimmer. I get nervous. I'm like, what is I even out here in the ocean, right? I'm like, wait, what was that? Was that a shark?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Was there any way that was a shark?
yeah. It
Because
was.
and like I feel like the Loch Ness monster, right? It's unclear about whether or not where it's here yet safe to swim in open water.
I understand completely. I venture out into open water swimming with people I'm comfortable with.
Mm.
A dear friend, Julie Barnes Maurer, she is usually the person that I am swimming with. And it is fun and relaxing, and for her, rather amusing. She will go a certain distance. Okay, swim a straight line to me. And when I reach where I think she should be, I'm looking around and she is nowhere in sight. And she's doubled over laughing because what I thought was a straight line bore no resemblance to a straight line.
Oh no. But that comes with practice. I mean, we're out here for a lot of people, right? I mean, a lot of Black people, let's just be clear, outside was not a welcoming environment for a lot of people, right? For our parents, or our grandparents. And so, I
Sure.
mean, I've never gone camping. My husband, the same. We've like talked about it. We're like, a tent outside? Like it just seems like, just very vulnerable.
And yes, and there have been some people who were less than thrilled with sharing a beach with me. And like, all right, but we are.
Can we just talk about all the taxes that we paid for public pools that we could not swim in, right? Schools we could not attend,
So,
public facilities. Sorry, this is this is very much where I
and
am right
that's fine. Have you read Isabel Wilkerson's Cast?
now. No, but my father has, and so I knew exactly what the book that you were talking about. I knew
Yeah,
exactly. I
it
haven't
is.
read it yet.
I highly recommend it. Um, one of the things that comes up in it is the pool
Mm.
and the othering of, well, non-white individuals. We had to close the pool down and fill it with cement because they wanted equal access. So now, instead of it being, well, we didn't want to share a pool, it was the fault of
Oh, that's right.
other us.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I've been watching a lot of Black History Month videos on TikTok. I'm coming back to that, but TikTok is very much on my mind these days. And I learned about for the first time as here I am, I'm 47, 48 years old, and I didn't realize that huge parts of Central Park were with a historically Black neighborhood, right? That was completely leveled, right, in order to create public parks for the public, right, to enjoy. And there was a TikTok video. I'll have to see if I can find it, where they talked about a number of towns and cities, Black towns and cities in the South, that were turned into recreational lakes. Like literally the entire, after either people were killed and homes and businesses burned, then flooded the entire town, right? Because it wasn't enough just to empty the town. Now we had to like, and now we had this recreational lake, Lake so and so, which actually sits on top of the, it's what a history we have, and what an extraordinarily brutal history.
We do. And this brings to mind a question I have because of your background uh, in law. The case, I'm sure you are familiar with the case recently in California where a family is getting the land back. They had
Yes. I made a donation on LinkedIn. Where's my land? I made a donation to support the lawyers. It was not a huge donation, but I was like, God, yes, absolutely. We're getting that beach back, which is rightfully theirs. I mean, could you imagine if this is the beginning, right? Of really kind of a real reckoning. I mean, just in terms of the material loss, it's extraordinary. It is absolutely extraordinary. Oh my gosh, I said that there were two things, and I want to make sure that I tell you the second because I could talk to you all day, and I know we don't have that time. But I do feel like I want to talk about one more thing, which is related, but a little bit different than what we've been talking about earlier. Because I feel bad about the white woman I talked about on TikTok who criticized the Black creators. And so I wanted to share a time where I became aware of a blind spot. Because I feel like that's kind of like what this is all about, right? It's kind of like discovering and scratching at those places in us that need work. So here is the sitch. I'm scrolling on Facebook, and a friend posts a comment about Disney's real action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, I'm just going to check, Christopher Johnson. Are you familiar? Are you familiar with this? Disney was
I've
working on this.
heard of it. I have not seen it.
Okay, so apparently, and I'm going to, Disney was very proud of themselves because they decided they were going to have a Latinx lead as Snow White. Okay. So I'm like, I'm not a huge Disney fan. Lots of issues there, but I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. And I'm about to just move on, right? And then I see a quote from an actor who I absolutely adore, Peter Dinklage, who is a dwarf. And he says, like, what he actually uses a curse word. I won't use it here, but what the actual blankety blank, why are we remaking a movie about a bunch of dwarves who live in a cave? And I'm like, mind blown, right?
Hmm.
I have never looked at Snow White through his lens. By standing up using his soapbox appropriately, he busted a hole through my. Here I was thinking I was like moderately okay, right? And then I realized I was completely insensitive, blind, right? And
Yeah.
accepting, right, of this really grotesque story, right? But somehow it was like, yeah, but she's going to be a Latinx, so what, right? Completely missing the point, right? And it
Yeah.
took Peter Dinklage to say, like, literally use the drop a couple f bombs, right? And what I understand now, I think the project is under reconsideration. Ha ha! Go Peter Dinklage, right? What also is up for reconsideration is Elisabeth Steele's, right, self. It's really invited me to do a lot of soul searching. Gosh, there's a ton I
And
wasn't.
that is the beautiful thing. I mean, as we learn and grow, we repeat the process. Our understanding changes. The What we bring to the table and what we add or take away, what we contribute to this fabric of humanity is constantly changing as we learn and grow.
Gosh, we have so much work to do. So much work to do.
We do, but we're making
Good work.
progress. I mean, with my children, for instance, an idiom that was common when I was growing up, they heard in horror, wondering why. Why would any nice person kill two birds with one stone? What a horrible, horrible person. Feed two birds with one scone.
Isn't it interesting the kind of violence that
It
we
is.
use so cavalierly, right? I want to please thank your kids for me, because not only did they, they talk to you about it, you talk to me about it, and now I'm going to think about like, what is that about, right? I mean, it's just the I think I don't know, maybe this is just coming of age, of a certain age. I don't know. I've never been this age before, or something actually is really happening in the world, because I feel like I'm beginning to kind of look around and see things slightly differently. It's like picking up rocks and being like, "Oh, I don't want any part of that," you know?
Yeah.
And and then also, but then the other part of that is like, what role have I played, right? And keeping that rock sitting there. I've walked around it. I've given it a pass in my life, and now all of a sudden it's like young people are standing up and asking questions, and I'm like, wait, that's a great question. That's an excellent
Exactly.
question.
Exactly. And that is what I love. Different people asking different questions. And it's like, oh, reframing how
Mhm,
something is looked at. Um, one of I have not seen the series W. Kamau Bell did about Bill Cosby, but I've heard interviews. And, one of the interesting things that he talked about was his role, Cosby's role in Hollywood stuntmen, or having black Hollywood stuntmen. So with his first big break on I Spy,
mhm,
he was still a young man. Uh, there was a stunt double, and they would color him black. It was using a white man to fill that. And he says, no, if I'm going to be on this, then you need to hire a black stuntman. That is just one of those things that is transformative. I mean, now there are all manner of stuntmen and stunt
mhm.
women of all different backgrounds.
Wow. I mean, I will say thank you for sharing that with me, because I didn't know. It doesn't surprise me. He was such a in so many ways, he I mean, people have said we wouldn't have had, Barack Obama as president if we hadn't had the Cosby Show, right? I mean, I think when I think about the kind of incredible mark he's left, right, in through his art, and through personal professional decisions, right? Like, I mean, there so many are so admirable. I will share with you that one of the biggest arguments my husband and I ever had, and I mean like blowout, was when we have a young daughter. We've been very conscious about the types of media we exposed her to. And he bought a DVD set. I don't know where you can even get this, of the Cosby Show. And he was like, we're going to carve out the Cosby Show. And I said that if he showed our daughter one episode of the Cosby Show, like, it was just, it was done. We were done. Like, and he was so taken aback. He was like, yeah, that was the face. He was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I actually, my grandparents, my child's grandparents, my parents live in the same building as my husband and I got in the elevator. I went down to my dad, my African American father, black father, and I was like, he bought the DVDs. Like, he bought the DVDs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're in the house. I was like, go talk to him. I can't even talk to him. You know what I mean? And I expected my dad to immediately like get it. Nope. He was like, what do you mean? There's more. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I realized there's some great intersectionality. As a woman, right? As a woman, as a black woman, the idea of introducing our daughter, right, to this person who she would later discover is a monster, right? I mean, just like like I was like, right? It was so hard to even articulate past my anger, right? And it was so interesting to see both my husband and my father having to kind of also think about this, how they like this kind of blind spot in their thinking,
Mhm.
right? And the direct conflict, between what was to me so obvious and to them was like I mean, he's a terrible person who raped hundreds of people and ruined their lives, right? But and you're like, but it's like I'm not racist, but it's like I'm like
Yeah, that isn't
complicated,
that's yeah. Um,
complicated, right?
but part of that though is accountability, acceptance, acknowledging how you have harmed someone and working to move forward. And that has not happened.
I I know it has not happened, and
No, I mean, but when someone does a harm and acknowledges it and can move forward, then society can they are talked about in a different sense as opposed to constant denial and you can't have but on one hand and the well what about like all right accept accept your role in causing harm and move forward, acknowledge it, move forward, do better.
see, even that is hard for me because I
Mhm.
feel like his level of evil, I mean, is really extraordinary. So we're
It is
not talking about like a person who made an error in judgment, right, at one point in their life and changed their behavior. We're talking about someone who's serially, thoughtfully, repeatedly, you know, destroyed humans, right? And
for
did
yeah for
so
decades.
for, I mean, thousands and thousands of women, you know? And so for me, it's like, this is a special type of evil. I don't
it,
even know, like of monstrousness that I'm
it,
not even
it
sure
is
an apology, I wouldn't even be willing to. It's like saying,
and
I, I don't know what
I
he would have to
understand that
say.
but
Yeah.
the refusal to
Mm.
acknowledge any harm done that
Yes.
makes it even more monstrous.
Yes, agreed, agreed, agreed. I heard that one of the child actors, the former child actors who were on the show, described working with Dr. Cosby, and said that for all the years that they did that show, for years. I mean, how long was that show running? I mean, a long time, right? We saw Rudy like grow up, right? And then there's like, I mean, it was a thing. That he always required the child actors to call him Dr. Cosby. And I always thought, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I bet he did. Like that's the kind of person he would be. You know what I mean? Like this kind of a thinking of himself as kind of separate and above and removed from, right? These young people. It just makes me feel like, wow, I would love to talk to. I don't know her name now. I know her previous name was Lisa Bonet. I know that she has and she changed her name when she got married, and now she's divorcing. That wonderful human. Um, I would love now. But now I look back at the reunion show, and she refused to go, and everybody was like, "Oh, Denise," you know what I mean? Like, just go. And now I'm like, "Oh, oh," like all these little things kind of look different, right?
They do.
And I'm like, "Oh, look, good for you not to go," right? Like, why? But how do you? And I think that's what we're all struggling with. How do you balance, imperfect humans, which we all are, right? I mean, just gloriously imperfect,
Yeah.
and the impact that we can have on each other's lives. Gosh, it's hard.
By growing and seeking to understand and seeking to do better, much like how you shared the your view changed of Snow White. So when we take on the goal of seeking out and understanding more, that's how we do better.
Okay, this begs the question, and I don't want to end on a low note, but this is what I struggle with in my kind of my newfound adulthood because I'm just growing up. It's just like I think it's happening.
Wait, it's a trap. It's a trap.
Go back, go back. One of what do we do with those of us who are unwilling, uninterested to examine themselves, to think about the ways in which their actions harm others? What happens? Because I feel like there's been this in my own life, this kind of, I want to say it's like a division where people are kind of becoming or showing their nature, right? Those who are kind of willing to accept responsibility, right?
Mhm.
Acknowledge pain, move forward. And those whose either, maybe their situations don't require it of them, right? So maybe they have a privilege that allows them to move in a different way in the world. But I've lost patience over time with people who I think who it's like, are you with us? Are you with us? Do we
Yeah,
just carry you along until
that is a heavy weight to carry, both emotionally, intellectually, and I don't know that we can do that. I think we have to move forward and allow space if someone takes on that learning for themselves. But trying to stay with an individual that's not moving holds us back from who we are supposed to be.
Mm.
And who are we supposed to be? People who go forward, grow, laugh, learn, share,
Connect,
connect. Oh,
find joy,
right.
laugh?
How did we connect?
Oh my goodness. I want to say that it was at Robbie Samuel's No Bad Zoom Happy Hour. Is that right? Is that right?
You are correct.
And I have met so many fantastic people. So thank you, Robbie, for creating an environment where it draws really interesting people together.
And are you open to connecting with even more individuals?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
I know that there's like a connect and follow on LinkedIn. I hope I've successfully removed the follow option. I am a connector. I'm like, listen, I'm done with like the cool kids at the table. We're all cool kids now. You want to know me? You want to talk to
Even
me?
me?
Of course. But yeah, so please connect. Not, follow me, I guess, but connect with me because frankly, one of the best things about being on LinkedIn is really connecting with other people who have similar interests, similar values, similar passions. I've learned so
Well,
much from you. And so, I mean,
likewise.
that would have that not happened, right? If, but for LinkedIn.
Absolutely. And I encourage people to connect and mention mention where you saw Elizabeth. Mention this, mention uh, one or more of her many fine, fabulous live videos that she's done, the tips and techniques that she has illustrated. Your goal was how many days in a row of
You're so kind. Christopher is talking about a series that I started at the beginning of the year to tape kind of a Zoom tip. And my goal was to put together 100 actionable videos. That was my stated goal. My real goal, my secret goal was to try to just tape something every day. And so here we are in February on the anniversary of the Grammy Stevie Wonder won. And I have shared 38 tips and collected them all on a YouTube channel. And they're all just little bite-sized somethings, right? And they're about a minute long just about tips and tricks for how to up your Zoom game and connect with people on video calls.
absolutely. And see, because I know you're not going to mention this, one of the things that you will get on those Zoom tips, Elizabeth laughter.
It's true. I can't. There's some laughing. There's my signature giggle. I couldn't, I have to lean in. I have to lean into it. It's me. It's me.
How could you pass up a Zoom tip that includes laughter?
Oh, thank you for Christopher Johnson. Thank you so much. Like, thanks
Thank you.
so much for
You
just this time. I love it.
wise. You are a delightful person.
Thank you.
I value and appreciate connecting with you, sharing a virtual platform, sharing laughter, sharing knowledge and information.
It's a pleasure. Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we'll end the broadcast now because, well, this is a good point. Go forward, laugh, and learn. Thank you.